Welcome to another edition of Biro Sports Talk. I'm your host, Biro, and as always, I try and share everything before we dive into it. So, right now we're trying to get everything going. Let's double check this too. Yes. Oh my goodness. People trying to do everything. There we go. I would like to have invalid invite. It's interesting to see. All right. Oh, we got to go to Facebook because Facebook, of course, is where this all began. We got to make sure we get Facebook shared. Of course, should not say anything. Oh man, I knew it would stay, man. There we go. We're there. We got to share the weekly show. Boom, boom. There we go. All right, now that everything is shared the way it needs to be shared, let's dive on in. Because, retro games are great. Get where I need to go would be nice. There we go. We're live. Make sure there's no volume because I don't like having backfeed, There we go. And today's going to be a fun day. Fun day. Because, today is a day where, as you notice, tablet's dead. Of course the tablet's dead. Wasn't charged, wasn't properly set up. But what I can do is focus on straight ahead, looking at you guys more than looking down at something else. I do have the Twitch stream. Facebook, I might struggle a little bit, but we'll be okay. But let's look at what's going on in the world today. So let's start with the obvious thing, get it off our chest. What happened once again in the world is social injustice. We can't just mow down people just because of the color of their skin, because of their past, or a number of things. We have a justice system for a reason. And what the NBA did in solidarity, where they just said no games, just no games. That was a big moment in sports. It's something that's unheard of. There was MLB games doing it. There's hockey games now tonight and tomorrow called off. The NBA finally decided they're going to resume playoffs. Excuse me. The NBA will eventually restart the playoffs once they feel it's been enough. The WNBA had a very powerful message with the name on the shirts and the 7 bullet holes on the back. It all means the same thing. We got to be in this together. We got to look out for one another. We can't just outcast people. We can't just wrong people because we want to. We have to accept everyone. Now, I don't normally go down this darkened road, essentially. But due to the events that are going on today, it's something that just had to be talked about. After this long pause, I think it's best we decide to move on. The words are out there. We are all in this together, in a sense. And like always, I don't want to push a political agenda. I don't want to push anything like that. I just want people to know it's all about accepting each other and treating each other equally and not shooting because he's black or shooting someone because they have a gun. Like, yes, you're trained a certain way. I get that. But we're all human. We all deserve our rights to trial, our rights, just our human rights. But because this is a sports talk show and this topic becomes very political, we're going to focus back on sports. Now, the big thing, besides, of course, this social injustice movement, is right around the corner. You have the NFL, you have college football, you have all the sports in action, all of them. What comes next? So, the first thing that comes to my mind is we got to figure out fantasy football. So what I mean by we got to figure out fantasy football, it's not an important thing. Obviously not. But a lot of people enjoy fantasy football. A lot of people enjoy just being in these things. The biggest thing about fantasy football this year is the uncertainty. What to expect from fantasy football. My one league decided to cancel this year. And I get it. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. We had some issues tweaking some numbers. It's better we just figure it out, come back next year. I get it. I do. And I have other leagues that are like, we got to have this. We got to do this. And I get it. I get it from every standpoint. I really do. Of course, Biro Sports Talk will have something. Now, I would love to do fantasy football, but I almost feel like a pick'em league would be better. So what a pick'em league is, you pick who wins this year. So like in week 1, you pick who wins each game, and we move on from that. If we do that, I think that would be great. But I need to know who's interested. So the great joy of this right now is that Facebook, we're 300 strong. We just got to 20 on Twitch. Now, a lot of you don't understand what that means, but 20 is 40% of becoming affiliate. And that means something. That means something. We're trying, of course, everyone does. But what do we do? Because I'll tell you right now, as much as I love Twitch, I love doing the video game streams, of course. I would love to do one tonight as well. I don't know yet, though. The thing is, you're looking. Without sports, this means nothing. This whole show means nothing. I can talk MLS, I can talk all these minor sports, but we all know what everyone watches these sports things for. We want basketball, we want football, we want baseball occasionally in our summers between our basketball and football. If you haven't, though, definitely hashtag BiroST wherever you want to. Get it going. Biro Sports Talk. But I did find this interesting. So I did see Kalen Ballage. He's a Arizona State alum, I believe. I'll double check that just to be safe. Excuse me. Yes, he is an Arizona State alum. He's a running back for the Dolphins who, chance after chance after chance, finally gets traded to the Jets. They will get a 7th round pick for a 4th round pick, essentially. What's interesting, though... thank you, Bearded. Thank you. Appreciate it, of course. But as I was saying, though, we're watching, we're looking... But Ballage just couldn't get going, essentially. Frank Gore is also there. He was a former Dolphins running back, former Bills running back. Gore just doesn't seem to want to retire. He's in great shape. He's doing very well. That's what happens. The Dolphins, on the other hand, they have Jordan Howard and Matt Breida. I mean, they have some good, talented guys there. It's going to be interesting to say the least. I mean, another interesting news headline. Stephen Hauschka, cut by the Bills as Tyler Bass wins the kicker job, a rookie from Georgia Southern. Hauschka won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks in 2013, was signed by the Bills 4 years later in 2017. Man, it's interesting because he's very accurate. But he wasn't as accurate from 50 yards or longer as he used to be. Like I said, all very interesting. And one thing I found very interesting today was someone came up to me and was talking to me about, hey, I'm going to have a fantasy draft. What should I look for? Think about that for a second. This is a year where fantasy is going to be weird. It just is. It's always going to be. It's just going to be weird because there's just uncertainty. I can't stress how uncertain. Oh man, look at this improper English, man. Oh, I hate it. Don't know what to say, but you just don't know what's going to happen out there. I agree with this first statement, though, in an article by ESPN. Eckler, man. Austin Eckler. He's a very valuable guy going forward. He was very valuable last year. I tried to trade him. Of course I did. Because at the time, Melvin Gordon was going to come back. And I ended up keeping Eckler, and Eckler balled out. But if you want draft strategies, let's just start with draft strategies, all right? Here's what I have to say for you. Running backs are king. Now, What I mean is, everyone will tell you quarterbacks are king. Well, yeah, but you can get the 8th, 10th quarterback a lot later than 1 and 2. Russell Wilson tends to get drop in leagues whenever I've drafted. Excuse me. I end up with them and end up doing very well. Russell's usually a top 10, top 5 quarterback. So again, I always say running back. So why do I say running back? So if you can get a Barkley, you can get a McCaffrey, you can get an Eckler, you can get a, let's say, like a Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs. You get 2 good running backs. Zeke, Kamara. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of great running backs that you can pick. The problem is, to have a spectacular running back, you got to go early. And to get a decent running back, you struggle. Same thing goes with wide receivers, though. That's the problem. Wide receivers are the same way. You got to try to get the better players as fast as you can. I would go running backs, receivers. Now, me, I'm always one who ends up with a Kittle, George Kittle. This year, I mean, Travis Kelce is another one I always seem to get. I would say Gronk would be interesting, but I will keep him up there in the top 5 tight ends because that's what you got to do. You got to get those guys. And I'm not going to say all the names because, quite frankly, there's a lot of good players in the league. Quarterback, I would always zoom in on what Russell Wilson. He's a very good, consistent quarterback. Running backs, you got to get the best guys. You got to. There's a good, strong list, but you got to get the best guys. Next, got to get good receivers, man. Tight ends, if you don't get the best ones, they drop off very quickly. And there's some guys who will produce, but they won't produce like the best guys. You got to get a Kittle. You got to get a Kelce to compete, really. But that's it. Defense, you can get by with some pretty bad defense or playing week to week. Kickers, again, I tend to go week to week. Or I know this team's playing a very bad team. They're going to score a lot of points. That kicker's in. This team, I know, can't move the ball, but they'll kick a lot of field goals. Boom, that kicker's in. Depends on the mindset. And there you have it. Got to have depth. Got to have good backups for running backs and receivers. Receivers a hard one, man. I always seem to get second and third tier, but that's because I focus so hard on the running back first and second tier. Again, I get like Wilson and Drew Brees, man. Somehow Drew Brees keeps falling in some of my leagues. But the worst thing to do, of course, is to get burned by injuries. Now, I had this discussion again today. And here's how things turned out last year for me. James Conner was balling out for me before. Of course, last year he got hurt. And he got hurt bad. And that's where I struggled. I struggled, man. And that's also with Melvin Gordon deciding I'm not going to play. Not going to play. And when he did decide to play, he didn't play very well. Eckler did very well. But there you have it, guys. Fantasy advice. Top tier running backs. get some decent receivers, try to aim for top tight ends. You can wait on a quarterback. You can wait on a quarterback. Defense, kickers, you can rotate. Here is one last thing to say. I know Patrick Mahomes balled out. It's obvious. And he deserves all the praise in the world for it. And he'll do it again and again and again. But here's what I want all of you at home to hear straight from my mouth. Please don't make stupid trades. Please don't make stupid trades. And I say this in the best of interests. I can go analytics and show everyone, hey, this is why this is a terrible idea. And they still go through with the trades. Of course, sometimes those trades backfire because in leagues past, it was obvious they made this trade just so that I would lose against this guy. And of course, it backfired. And of course, everyone looks at me and be like, Michael, you don't trade. I try to trade. You got to have. It's got to be even to me. It's got to be somewhat even. It has to make sense. Like if I'm giving up my best receiver, I better be getting 2 good running backs, something like that. So a trade I had. Oh, here's this running back who's probably going to ball out. Well, I really need a quarterback. All my quarterbacks are backups. That's what happens with a dynasty league. Now I have a starting quarterback that I can actually start. Problem is, though, now I don't have a running back. But that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. We'll have to see what happens. Man, it's been, and I get it. I do get it. It's been so dead the last few weeks, and there's just not much to talk about. I know basketball's back. This week, Madden comes out. Personally, waiting on Madden because I just want to get it when it's used, essentially. That's just what I want to do. And then, of course, next week, 2K, man. 2K's out. I'm going to be ecstatic, man. I'm ecstatic. 2K is always the game I play. I like 2K. Problem is, the games I actually am known to play, always play, I should say, they don't come out anymore. I was one of those always playing college games. It was always basketball, football, basketball, football. I would rarely get Madden. Madden was like an every other year thing. Just because I knew I would end up playing college more. I look over as if I'm going to see my college games. For some reason, my 360 games are still not here. But if you look there, man, I had so many college games. I still have college games. I have the last known college games. And I just miss them. I'll be honest, I'll miss them. They're great games. They'll figure something out to bring them back. It's weird watching the delay on Twitch to what I'm watching on the screen. It's very interesting. Um, I'm actually, I think I'm going to head off. I love that you were here, Strictly Bearded or Diego. I might shut off, come back on, and do a retro game. We'll see what happens. But definitely stay tuned to the channel. If you haven't followed the Twitch stream, definitely follow it, please. Trying to become affiliate. Just would mean a lot to me. If you're on Facebook, though, hey, you found me. Like the page. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, man. I don't have enough YouTube followers, anyways, as is, and I need a haircut. Definitely need a haircut. Hair's a little long, but nothing too bad. All right. See you guys next time on Biro Sports Talk.